Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and today I'm reviewing Project L Square One from Boardcubator. Square One is an offshoot of Project L, the original Polyomino game from Boardcubator, where you take various polyomino shapes, put them into a grid while working on your tableau, and this is mostly that. It's not exactly the same game. It's a different game. It'll feel familiar if you've played that, but I'm going to dive in as if you've never played it or don't know anything about it, just to make sure you're fully covered. As usual, this is a prototype, rules and components subject to change, and I'll have a link to the crowdfunding campaign down below. But with that, let's talk about the game. How does it play? What do you do? All of those fun little things. The basic idea is it's a tableau building game. Despite the polyomino concepts at play, because there are polyomino concepts, this is a tableau building game. Although also one thing first, because I said prototype, but I should note specifically, these over here, these are wooden pieces for the prototype, but the actual game, let me grab one of each of these so you can get a sense or feel. The actual game is going to have more of these like little bakelite type pieces instead of the wood pieces. I have these three just to show you over here, so that's a small little note on the prototype aspect. But with that, let's go ahead and dump these to the side and go back to the game. So this is a tableau building game despite the polyomino sort of shapes. Not exact polyominoes because it's more showing you the shape of an individual polyomino on any individual piece. So you can see little pieces examples over here, but you're working on building out your tableau. You're going to start with these pieces over here, and your goal is to gather these tiles over here to take a sequence from the market. You have these little lower level white sequences and these point scoring black sequences. You're going to take those sequences, fill them with your polyomino shapes, and then try to get more polyominoes and or score points. That's the basic idea. And there's a little list of actions you can take, all listed on your play right over here. But the general idea is you need to be able to fill these point-scoring polyominoes, but in order to do that, you need more polyominoes than the ones you start with. So I'm just going to walk you through a few basic turns so you can get a sense of how this plays. So for example, my first action, I'm going to go ahead and take this tile, this sequence from the market, put it in front of me. A player can have up to 4 sequences in front of them. For my second action, I'll go ahead and take both of these and fill this row over here because this row requires 2 yellow single piece polyomino tiles over here. And for my third action, I'll once again fill another row. Now just to break that down again, you can take any sequence from the market. When you take a sequence, you can take from any of the rows. It will fill right away and you can have up to 4 sequences in front of you. When you put the tiles onto a sequence, you have to fill top to down. You have to go from all the way from the top to the bottom. You cannot fill the bottom before the top, and you'll put whatever is shown on that onto the sequence. Sometimes you have an either or, so for example over here you can put this one or that one in that spot, and you'll see them in shapes like this. So for example, you can either put those 2 or that one in those spots. Sometimes you have a bit of agency. That's going to be the place action. So I've given the take action, I've given the place action, and then right now I'm going to score this tile right away because I get this over here, and I'll add one of these and one of these to my tiles, and I'll also get those back. This will go away, goes back to the general market as a discard file. We don't need those over there. Black tiles you'll keep because they have points on them. White tiles go back to the market to be reshuffled if necessary. That's turn 1. I've shown you 2 of the 6 or so possible actions. Let's go to the next action. Let's go to the next turn. We're going to go ahead and grab another one of these. This time round, we're going to go ahead and grab their 1 and 2, and they do fill right away, but I don't feel the need to fill them. That's second. We go over there. That's action again. You're seeing the action take. And this time we're going to do a master action. Master actions is the only action that is limited to once per turn. But when you take a master action, what you do is you're going to go ahead and fill a row on each of your sequences, whatever the topmost row that's available. So for that example, in this case, I'm going to master action these 2 tiles over here. There you go. My master action, I did 201. It's a little bit more efficient. I got 2 placements with 1 zone, but I have to have those tiles, and sadly, I'm not scoring anything this round. When it comes back to my turn, and keep in mind, obviously, other players are taking turns as you go. Everyone's playing their own little efficiency engine, trying to get to the points as fast as possible. But right now, I'm just showing you the various actions so you understand the game. When it comes back to my turn, the market's changed, people have done whatever. I'm going to show you some new actions. So now we've seen 3 actions. We've seen take, place, and the master action. We still have gain, merge, and split to cover, which we're going to do right now. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and gain this tile over here. Okay, so I gain this tile as an action. That's action 1. I'm going to merge these 3 into this. Basically, you can merge any number of pips into their larger pips following the level tree. That's going to be my next action. So action 2 was merge, and then action 3 is going to be gain again. So you've seen 2 of the actions right now. I've merged and gained. So for example, gaining is always taking a yellow token from the reserve, and merging is merging any number of pieces into their subsequent higher level tier. So you can go ahead and merge a 3 and a 1 to make a 4. You can merge 2 2s to make a 4. Things like that as you go through it. And now it's going to come back to my turn. Again, back to my turn. You have 3 actions per turn. I may not have said that specifically, but it's been clearly implied at this point. But going back to my turn again, I'm going to once again do a merge action, merging these 2 yellows into a green, and then I'm going to master action, putting these over here like so. By the way, this may not have been the most efficient way to do it, but I want to go through showing you all these ways. And right now, I'm going to finish both these tiles, which means I'm going to get 1 and 1 and 1 and 1, those are going to be my gains for these 2 tiles. But also, I just mastered action to complete 2 tiles at once. Whenever you complete tiles with a master action, you get bonus points. That's what these tiles over here are for. In this case, I completed 2, so I get 1 point. If I had completed 3, I'd get 2, and if I completed all 4, I'd get 4 bonus points. But now I'm 1 point towards actually winning the game, because everything else, frankly, is just working on building your engine. When it comes back to my turn, let's go ahead and show you another action, because I want to show you some more things so you get a better sense of how things play. Let's go ahead and gather 1 point scoring tile for right now. We want that in play. Let's go ahead and gather this for my second action, and then we'll go ahead and do a master action. We can't do a master action. We'll do a single place action, placing these down over here. That's my next turn over there. I've done 2 actions, take, and place. And now it's going to be back to my next turn, and now we're going to try to be a little clever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a split action. I'm going to take this tile over here, and I'm going to split this into 2 ones. That's the last action we haven't covered. The same way you can combine things into a larger tile, you can split things into a smaller tile. So I've done that. I'm going to mentally put these 2 over here. We don't have that one over here. I'm going to do a, I'm going to combine these 2, those and that, into one of these 4s over here. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and master action to place this and these over here like so. That was my next turn. Then for my next turn, let's go ahead and do one more turn before we wrap up into the actual reviews and how things play. But for my last turn, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and try to see if we can finish 3 tiles at once. I might be able to. I don't think I can. Honestly, I don't think I'll be able to. So we'll go ahead and grab one more turn though. We'll see what we can do. Let's go ahead and gather these. We need this. It needs to be split into, I think we're going to combine these 2 into, we're going to combine these 2 using a merge action into this. That's going to be that. We'll put that over there. Then we're going to split this into these, like so. So we got those back. Then we're going to, lastly, we're going to take this over here for our, so we combined, we split, and we took, which means on our next turn, we'd be primed to go ahead and place these 2 like so, and these 2 like so, gaining the various points and remaining piece for that tile. And of course, one of these for that. That's basically the way you play the game. You've seen all 6 actions. You're going to be gaining new tiles, placing new tiles, gaining new sequences, using master actions to place things into sequences, splitting and merging tiles as you need, and you're going to do that until the black tiles run out of the market. The white tiles, they filter back into the marketplace. The black tiles will eventually run out. There are a variable number of them depending on the player count. And when those run out, that will trigger endgame, at which point you go ahead and add up and see who has gotten the most points in square 1. Which means it's time for the review, starting off with ease of play. This game is fairly easy to table, although I will say I'm coming in with the bias of knowing how to play Project L, and it's 94%, that's a very specific number, it's 90% the same game in terms of the sequences at play. The strategy is different, but the sequence of the actions, how everything works, if you know Project L, this is going to be very familiar to you. I should also note there are 2 expansions. I don't have those in the prototype, so I don't have the mini expansion. I believe it's the Ambassadors and something else. There's 2 little mini expansions. I'll give you some more stuff to go through. I don't have those in the prototype, so I can't comment on those. But again, ease of play. If you know Project L, this will be fairly familiar while being different at the same time. If you don't know Project L, it's still a pretty straightforward game overall. I think the biggest thing that can be a little confusing is all these polyomino shapes that have no real polyomino execution. Reading through the rulebook, I was definitely a little confused as to how things operated until I actually grabbed the box instead of the pieces, and I was like, oh, these aren't actually polyominoes. I have a habit sometimes of reading rulebooks without actually opening the box, which is not the most efficient way to do it. But in this case, I was like, where are all the polyomino pieces and how do they actually fit with the rulebook showing these goods over here? So that's a small little confusing aspect, but that's solved by either watching this review or alternatively just taking the pieces out of the box as you start to learn and play the game. As far as game time, it's a fast-moving game. This is a game that you could be playing a 4-player game of it and it'll last, if it really stretches, maybe 45 minutes. But you can also knock out a game of this in 20 minutes if players are moving fast and snappy. This is a game where it's all about building up that Tableau engine quickly and then executing and then trying to score as many tiles as possible. It can move very quickly with players who know what they're doing and are just chomping at the bits to go to the next turn and the next sequence and the next completion, all of that. As far as what I like, don't like, and can see others not liking, starting off with what I like, which is the Tableau building in general. This is something that Project L did very well to begin with. Project L was always deceptive in the sense that it looked like a polyomino game, but it was really much more of a Tableau builder, where it was all about the efficiency engine of gathering pieces, of gathering and building up your efficiency to be able to take master actions to 4 tiles at once and just ratchet through a whole bunch of completions. It was very efficient to be able to try to build up your engine, which is a big part of the game, and this one leans into that more so with the time element. The idea that you have to fill these things in sequence. You can't just go anywhere you want. You specific orders of how you're filling these tiles, which puts an additional level of pressure as you try to juggle also the aspect of trying to fill more tiles, of getting more efficient actions, of getting those points, of when you start charging towards the points in the end game completion. This is a fast-playing game that teaches quickly, plays quickly, and gives you a lot of decision tree along the way as far as how much you're building up your tableau versus how much you're cashing in on that tableau to go ahead and get your points as fast as possible when you start executing on that engine. The new time mechanic is an extra element of tightness and the desire to close things out in one full round. That extra points you get, 1, 2, or 4 points for closing out a bunch of tiles, that adds an additional level of challenge to the game of trying to figure out, okay, great, sure, I want the points, and sure, I want to just complete tiles, but the more tiles I can complete at once, I'll get bonus points for, and that can be the difference between winning and losing in what will often be a very tight game. So this builds off what Project L did well, continues to do it well, adds a few new interesting elements to it as well that are more things to consider in Project L Square One. As far as things I don't like in the game, two small things. First of all, this is the type of game that has a little too much room for optimization. Meaning this is the kind of game where I'm playing it, I'm having fun, we're all enjoying and all that, but I can see people approaching this from a level of killer strategy where they've perfectly min-maxed their way towards the victory points in a way that might make the game a little less satisfying or fun. I actually, we'll talk about it more in the recommendations, but it has that room for pure optimization that can be a little much at times. And then for me, it's hard not to get past the fact that they've removed the polyominoes. This is a polyomino game without the polyominoes. You have these pieces over here that give you polyomino shapes, but there's no polyomino puzzle. And again, it's hard. It's not necessarily fair to compare this game to Project L, but I have to. Games don't exist in a vacuum, and this is very much being, an offshoot of its original game. I think this does a few nice things mechanically that are satisfying additions to the game, but the charm of configuring polyominoes into your grid of not just the tableau builder, but also the engine of trying to figure out where things go and how to min-max with a degree of spatial awareness and not just efficiency awareness, that magic is kind of gone. They've taken that out of the game system. They have the theme of Project L, and they've done some things that are nice gameplay mechanics, but they've done so at the cost of the charm and theme of, well, polyomino placement on your little tiles. That little element is gone, and it's hard not to miss it. As far as what I can see others not liking, first of all, the game moves fast. It moves very, very, very fast, and it's actually interesting because my two pieces of what I can see others not liking are kind of conflicting. But this is a fast-moving game where the game is over before you begin sometimes. You're sitting there building up your engine, and suddenly before you know it, the black tiles are being charged through, and someone else is getting, 25 points, and you're sitting there being like, I think I got like 12 points, and I thought I was doing pretty well. That has the potential to happen in this game. It moves quickly. As you build things up, it ratchets up very quickly, and it moves along. And then my exact conflicting piece of evidence, piece of feedback, is that it can be very AP prone. It can be very analysis paralysis prone, where the idea, because you're trying to efficiently optimize your actions, even though the game engine itself moves pretty quickly, and even though the game can run pretty quickly when you have people who know what they're doing, I've also seen people just sitting there agonizing over their board being like, okay, great, well, I have this, I need to go ahead and get this, okay, great, and I need to go ahead and break these up, and if I do that, how will I line up a fourth thing? Watching players take the time to efficiently get that perfect move does happen in this game. The general game as a system moves quickly and has the potential to move very quickly, but I've also seen people get very stuck in the weeds as they try to plan their next 4 turns to get that perfect 4-point placement and get a whole chunk of pieces in at the same time. So that's something to be mindful of as you play the game. As far as final thoughts on Project L Square One, it's a very good game, and it's always hard covering games that are a little similar to other games because I'm not grading the game on its own merits. Because this, to me, is a 4 out of 5. The game is fun, it's snappy, it's fast, it's well done, it's got a good tableau, it's rewarding. I've enjoyed playing through this, and I would happily play through this any single time. With the one caveat, and it's a big caveat, is I think I still prefer Project L. So it's in a weird space for me where I think the magic of the polyomino placement, while this game adds nice things, I think it's building off of a different system where I prefer the original system. But if you're looking at this game, again, it's hard to approach this game. How do you critically evaluate a game that's similar to another game that exists? And the answer is, I like this game. It's a good game. If you're looking for a good game, or if you just want more games in the Project L universe, this is a good game I can recommend. It's a 4 out of 5. But if you're just looking for a recommendation, I'd probably go straight with Project L if you want more of the magic, and then Square One if you want to reduce the spatial puzzle and give you some more mechanical other things to consider as you go through it. As far as other game recommendations, obviously Project L. Project L is going to be a big one over here. I think this game is very much built on the Project L system. It does some things better, some things worse, although obviously that's my 2 cents in it, and I highly recommend checking out Project L if you haven't already. And the Bakelite little pieces, as much as these final pieces over here are nice, having them all in polyomino shapes and a bunch of other configurations, really feels like you have candy when you play Project L. And then secondly, for recommendations, I'll also say Splendor. This game, Project L already had that similarity, but I'd say this one more so because this one really leans into that efficiency puzzle aspect. It feels very similar to Splendor. How much time are you spending building up your ability to get a lot done versus how much time are you spending actually executing on your points as you go through it. If you like the puzzle that Splendor provides, I think this is very much something similar to look into, and if you enjoy this one, then check out Splendor as well. In any case, and until next time, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co. I hope you've appreciated this video, and as always, I hope you have a good one.